Hey Troglodytes, welcome back to another episode of Trogly's Guitars. My first video of my rare Norlin era Gibson collection got a lot of views, so I thought I'd make a part 2 where I just take out pretty much the rarest Norlin era guitars that I have and just tell you a little bit about them. Every single one of these guitars has a separate video tour and demo, so if you're interested in hearing any of these, go ahead and find that. If you leave a comment, I can definitely leave you a link to these videos. So all 11 of these guitars, with the exception of one, is a rare Norlin era model. Obviously the one exception is our first one we'll go over, the Les Paul Goddess in the very rare purple burst finish. These were made in 2007. They were only about $1,000 new, but they've become hyper-inflated in price because the demand is so high for this guitar because it's such a beautiful finish. These are one of my favorite modern era guitars. They have specially wound pickups just for them with a purple colored wire. There's 3 other colors of these that also match that as well. There's a rose burst, an ice burst, and a sky burst in the Les Paul. There's also some SG Goddesses out there. The other special thing about these is the Gibson logo is the same color as the body, so this one's purple. So that's why I really like the Les Paul Goddess series. The second one, we saw this in the first video. This is a The Les Paul. There's around 77 of these made between 76 and 79. In maple tops, backs, sides with a mahogany core body. These are really rare and expensive. They have really fancy looking headstocks with a rosewood veneer. Kind of the claim to fame for these is all the normal plastic parts will be wooden. This is a later example, so it got a brass poker chip and regular switch tip. The next one, I wouldn't call Silver Burst a rare finish. It's more uncommon, I would say. I mean, they're definitely highly desirable guitars, but they age so beautifully. You don't see too many out there. I had a mint condition one about a month ago, but that one's already sold. But you can see it's just a beautiful guitar. We'll skip over that one for now. This is actually a rare finish from the mid-80s called Pearl White. If you get up close here, you can see there's a little bit of sparkle, kind of like a melted silver look to this guitar. That's called Pearl White. A lot of people that have white customs from the 80s don't even know they have a Pearl White until, they go to sell it to a dealer and they're like, hey, this isn't Alpine White, this is Pearl White. You're gonna get a lot more money. The next one is a first run Les Paul KM. As you know from the first edition of this Norlin era collection, the Les Paul KM was basically Gibson's kind of first attempt to do a 59 reissue, in which they did a terrible job at, but it was the way that the guys at Kalamazoo could show up the newbies in Nashville. So they kind of got that big paddleboard headstock, but Les Paul KM, the truss rod cover. These are the only stock Gibson besides a double cut that Gibson made kind of in the late 80s, I believe. It's called the Spirit 1 and 2. These are the only ones that got double creams before the DiMarzio patent. The first runs of these got a custom-made plaque mounted onto them right there. So it's definitely cool to have a first run KM in the more rare Cherry Sunburst finish. They made Cherry Sunburst, Natural, and Tobacco Sunburst. The next one is a beautiful 50th anniversary Les Paul. 25 years of Les Paul with Gibson and 50 years of Les Paul in the music business in general. Super 400 inlays, beautiful guitar. This particular one, even very nice because it's one of the first 100 made. Supposedly, they got new old stock tops from the 60s, as rumor goes. This one's kind of got a unique flame grain to it. Like, it's a little bit off center. It kind of goes at an angle, so it kind of makes this guitar unique. This next one is a new one to the rare Norlin era collection. This is a Brazilian Rosewood top custom. These were only made in 1975. The story on these guys is they're pretty much just your regular run-of-the-mill custom. They cost a couple $100s more than a regular custom back in the day, but now they fetch as much as, 10, 12 grand for very clean, nice examples. This one's all original and in great shape. This is kind of the last year where you see witch hats on Les Paul Customs. What I like about this one is I've nicknamed it the Yeti because of this little Yeti-like figuring here. You can see he kind of got his hair here, and that's his head and his face and nose. It's just kind of a cool guitar. But this is a solid, like 1-inch thick slab of Brazilian rosewood. These things are really cool. And there's only around 50 to 60 or so of these made. The next one, we covered these before with a walnut example one, but this is a Les Paul Artisan, the Hearts and Flowers model, as they like to be called. These are basically dressed up like old Gibson banjos. They came in sunburst, they came in dark walnut. That's not black, it's dark walnut. They came in kind of a lighter walnut. That dark walnut will fade to this lighter walnut color. And they also had a white one. There were only 10 of those made, and they also had black binding. There's also straight up black ones as well, and I think that pretty well covers all the colors. But these are just really fancy guitars. I really like the sunburst one. In photos, they've never done much for me, but when you can see it from the side angle like this, that's when they're really beautiful, because you get to see the burst finish between the pickups. So Artisans are awesome guitars. I really like them. This particular one here has kind of met a terrible fate. It had a Kaler at one point in time, so it's definitely not a stock example, but it's definitely an awesome play. And this last one is one you have probably never even heard of. This is a Les Paul limited edition Super Custom, made from 1980 through around 1984. Basically, this guitar is the body of a V Les Paul. It's got the mahogany core with the Austrian maple top, back, sides. And then it has the fretboard of the Les Paul 25 50th anniversary, as well as the neck. It has the 5-piece maple neck there. And then it's kind of just a mixture of a regular custom as far as the headstock goes. So this is a really unique and rare piece. Neil Schon of Journey actually famously uses one of these. You can see it in quite a few of his music videos. Any Way You Want It is the one that I've seen quite a bit, but they are just fantastic guitars. Something we really didn't get to do last time was look at the back side of these guitars. So you can see the V Les Paul heavily flamed on the back and on the neck. It also has flames on the sides here, as you can see. Les Paul Silver Burst Custom, not all of them got the burst on the back. The first prototypes were actually dark backs, and it kind of depends on which example you get, if it has the burst on the back of the headstock. Les Paul KM, Pearl White. This is the 25 50th anniversary. Here you can kind of see the neck I was talking about here, the 5-piece maple neck, which is the same on the Super Custom. The Brazilian Rosewood has this really light colored mahogany back, which really contrasts with the dark top. This one was actually signed by Les Paul himself. Well, engraved, as he liked to do. This is the back of one of the Artisans. And I really like the Tobacco Burst Artisan because the back's a lot fancier than these walnut ones. And the Super Custom. Both sides are pretty heavily flamed. It's just kind of a poor angle for it. I mean, we'll move over here and then bam, everything. Well, I hope you troglodytes enjoyed this video of a bunch of rare guitars all in one take here. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me what guitars you'd like to see in episode 3. Once again, if you're interested in learning any more about these guitars, feel free to leave a comment on which one you're most interested in, or search my videos here on YouTube to see the full playing demo of every one of these guitars, or just the condition overview. Alright, troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Take care.